Hey friends, welcome back to Skyline Stroll. Today we're going to be talking about the quarterly quests and monthly reviews, which are something new I've been doing just all of this year. Basically, I set a series of small and larger goals that I want to do by every 3-month periods. So April here is going to mark the beginning of a new one for me, and March here will mark the end of one for me. And So I also, at the end of each month, do like a monthly review where I see how I did on my goals, I review setbacks, I get an idea of what went right and wrong, and I get some idea of things I might not be seeing too. So it's like if there's something I just didn't see prior, I can now acknowledge it and address it in making my own goals. And that's nice. And I also talk about things a little bit unrelated in the month, like that happened in the month, that are both good and bad, just because not everything will always go according to plan, but we still need to account for and calculate for things that didn't go according to plan. So the monthly and quarterly review has definitely been a interesting way to alter my life. It's definitely had an impact of some form. And yeah, so today we're gonna sit down. It's murky and overcast. I'm not gonna go for a walk for today's video. I want a nice sit down, good audio quality video. So today we're gonna have a sit down conversation about the monthly review and quarterly quests and how they are or are not changing my life for the better or worse at the moment, and if I recommend them. And yeah. So how has monthly and quarterly quests gone for me so far? Pretty good. I can definitely see where the flaws and holes in my current plan of attack and what I want to get done are. I can definitely see where I falter in some spots and thrive in others, and where I have made real progress. As you know, we're 3 months in, so I have 3 monthly reviews here in this notebook, which I have covered in a previous video. If you want to know what's going on in here, it gets talked about in a previous video. But we have reviews for January, February, and March, and I'm going to talk a bit about how each of those have affected my life and the steps I've taken each month to try and course correct and get more of what I actually want to do done, right? So first things first, we have completed the first quarter, and to talk about January in review, basically I acknowledged that I needed to set a budget and savings plan, but I didn't actually make a budget at that time. I got wrapped up in other little things and didn't get around to that until February, which I take note of in February. I mentioned making a crude budget in February, and when I look back at the money spent in January versus the money spent in February, it was much more controlled and managed, and I hit my savings goals that month and for March. However, when I reviewed money spent and made in March and looked at my savings goals and my previously haphazard budget, I realized as much as I did hit both months' savings goals, if I would have put a little more time and effort into my budget, I could have really saved more. Like I saw where I both did in March, I both spent too much money and hit my savings goal for the month. So I would like to turn that around in April and just really pack on some dollars into my account, really save up some money, focus on it, and cut the spending down more than focus on trying to find more ways to raise my income. It is important to raise your income, but right now I'm trying to think of ways to minimize my spending because it's a little more doable. So, beyond managing your spending, and what else do I track in my quarterly quests? Well, for one, maintenance. Like how well I'm keeping my home clean, how well I'm tending to my pets, how well I'm tending to my own hygiene and health, how well I'm tending to my social responsibilities. I try and track a little bit of all of that. I try and track my mental health. In January, I noted being rather depressed, and it slowing me down often in the month and putting a dent in what I needed to do. So in February, I tried putting some effort and energy into raising my mood, doing more to make myself fulfilled, and just trying to beat depression a little bit and make some real progress so I could see that progress and help my mind feel a little better, which worked. I'm not saying I was not at all depressed in February. I'm going to say more accurately, I had put a handle on it. I'd put a grip on it, and I'd put some amount of plan to it that let me navigate February and get a good amount of things done in spite of it. And so I track like mental emotional things. I track how much I did a good bit of socializing in January. I caught up with people I hadn't in quite a while. I caught up with people I do keep up with more regularly. I just did a bit more socializing in January, and then I noticed all of February I kind of kept to myself, and I think that kind of made my mood a little lower come March. Some of that, I think, was my schedule changing. I just simply had less free time to dedicate to friends and family because, I switched up my hours. And that was good. Like, that put more money in my pocket, but I had to keep track of the pros and cons of each conscious decision I was making. Because whether it bettered my life or not, each decision did have pros and cons. And the monthly review really helped me perspectivize that and have a really clear insight for what I wanted to do in the following month. So at the end of February, when I was writing everything that happened in February, I was going into March and I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I want to do to start this month off and get it going in a better direction than February did. And I know what to avoid that I did then that I can do now, or vice versa. And I can look at what I've already tried and what hasn't stuck to the wall and what has, and try to pick from things that have stuck to the wall prior and rethrow them at the wall again, right? So it does kind of let me really compartmentalize my decisions and make the most out of each and every day. And if you have a little more time each day, you can do like a weekly review and really break this down and make your weeks more impactful. I think creating systems that are consistent is more important than actually setting goals. I think if you are efficient in your systems and have a productive routine, your goals will kind of fall into place a bit. And yeah, you do have to set goals and create direction in your life and know what you actually want for that to work. Otherwise, your routine's going to be aimless, and then it ain't much of a routine at all. But if you don't do that, if you know some of what you actually want out of life, you can focus an amount of each day on making sure some of that happens. So, like, you kind of want to ask yourself, and I talked about this previously, what you want next year to look like. And then realize you have 4 quarters to try and build towards that. So, me, I only do the weekly reviews if I had a lot happen in a week. If I had a crazy week and just so much happened and I'm mentally overwhelmed and I know I'm going to miss details, then I'll do a weekly review. And when I go to do the monthly review, I'll look at the weekly one I did. And then I normally don't do those in my actual notebook. I do them in a separate spot and I throw them out when I'm done, because they're supposed to be just smaller information to help me compartmentalize my thoughts and recall how I was feeling in the moment, because it's hard to be in the moment 3 weeks ago, right? When you're writing, it's hard to be in the moment 3 weeks ago sometimes, especially if a bunch has happened since then. So sometimes I do the weekly reviews, but as a rule of thumb, I just do the monthly. And like I said, with March wrapping up today, I've now done 3, and I will actually do the quarterly quest, like review and all the checks on it and stuff tomorrow, being the beginning of April. But for now, I do want to talk about prepping to do that tomorrow, and how I can already see progress in my life. So 1, I already mentioned I hit my savings goals. I did just write out how much I made gross in a month and then reduced taxes from it, and looked at that number and looked at what I wanted and said, okay, here's what I can actually afford to spend. And I aimed to only spend that amount. And then I would, because I also wrote down everything I would spend in a month and what I'd spend it on, I could see where my money was going. So I would try to cut out the things that I was spending just frugally on, just crazy on. Just, it's like, oh, I spent $60 over here at the video store. Why did I do that? Buying movies and stuff? Oh, no, that's not good, right? So I could see what I was spending on, and then could like make part of the next month's quest just like, don't buy any fast food for the whole month, right? And that was one way I could just save like $100, maybe a little more. Like I looked and it's like, yeah, I'm working every day. I'm getting fast food like every like third day, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm spending too much on this. So what did I do? I made a meal prepping plan. I started taking my lunches to work. I did get roasted by a coworker for bringing in like cold leftovers, and but at the same time, it's like, laugh all you want. I saved my money this month. I have way more money because I made that decision. And if I wouldn't have looked at what I did in January, I wouldn't have realized that that was a harder decision I needed to make. I'm wanting to get some other things done here in the near future. I'm wanting to start repairing my car, and or just looking for an additional car and then like running the one I have into the ground currently. But at the same time, it's like, well, I'm gonna need to have a nice little lump of money to really make that happen. I'm trying to avoid having a car payment so I can actually save money and afford to make a long distance move in the near future. I've been wanting a fresh start for like a decade. Not even just a fresh start, like just a different location, somewhere new to explore. I like to just get out and look around and see new things. And that gets challenging when you're in the same place for a while. So I'm at a point where I do just kind of want to go somewhere new, and for that I'm acknowledging that I'm going to need a big ol' heap of money to actually move all by myself somewhere else in the country. I'm going to need money for that, and a good big pile of it. And if I want to like get the car situated and do that, then yeah, I have to cut spending in any corner I can find, right? And that'll get it done quicker. That way I'm not just like burning years of my life on this like low wage job when I could be looking for new opportunities. And like I feel like we all can do better by ourselves. And when we put it to paper, we see it in real time. It's harder to ignore that we might not be treating ourselves the best, both putting ourselves mentally, emotionally, or our needs on the back burner. We might have a habit of just doing a lot of that when we may not need to. And the monthly review really shows me where I do some of that myself. It's like, why didn't I do this for 2 months? There was I had the money to like realistically do this thing, and I just put it off to put it off, right? And it's like, okay, well, maybe I should have just done it up front, you know? And so like when I look at the quarter in review, I can already, because I looked at the 3 months and read over those before I made this video, I can already tell I didn't meet my car goals. I did meet my emotional mental goals. I didn't really meet my decluttering goals, which I might make a video about in the near future. We'll see. And I did actually meet my savings goals, as I prior mentioned. So I did kind of 2 for 2 on the like 4 bigger goals I set for the quarter. And then as for the littler goals, it was stuff like stretch real consistently, maintain parts of my room that I normally don't. Like I normally leave my bed erect, so just make the bed was a weird quarterly quest that I did. So did it make an impact on my life? Not really. My bed was genuinely a little more comfortable at night throughout the week. I noticed that it wasn't just a big pile of blankets, and I'm like, ugh, toss, turn. So did it make an impact on my life? A tiny bit. Am I upset that I did it? No. Is it probably better to just keep my bed made? Yeah, probably. So that's an example of where I can just like sit and look at something I did over the quarter that was smaller and say, what was the impact it had? And it's like, not a ton, but no negative impact, and a minor amount of positive impact. Let's just keep it going, make it part of what we do now, right? And then, so the next quarter, I'm just already doing that. And I'll pick something new. Like, I don't know, fold the laundry. If you just have a habit of letting the laundry sit in the hamper for a day, I've been that guy. Just the laundry sits in the hamper for a day. It's like, put it up. You don't need the wrinkles, and it can sometimes develop an odor depending on the soap you use or the quality of water you're washing your laundry with. So just put the laundry away. It'll look better too, and you won't have like a dirty laundry pile next to your laundry basket that is full of clean clothing. So that was one that I tackled prior, that it's like, okay, and it's a slowly but surely I'm getting better at building a more consistent and reliable me, right? And I can tell where the weak spots are and approach them accordingly. I met my savings goals for February and March, as I mentioned, not so much for January, but that means I'm in the saddle to make even more money in April and put more of it back for myself. And so being able to identify weak points of your own can be challenging. Sometimes when you're just writing your monthly review, you might just gloss over details about things that kind of stepped on your toes, that like you didn't like. It's like maybe you just put it in the back of your mind, and then come the end of the month, you're just trying not to think about the fact that that thing triggered you, right? So identify those clear weak points. Make it a point on the quarterly quest to figure out what you just need to work on and what you're doing wrong, where the weak points are. But also try to be positive about it. Celebrate the progress you're actually making. Acknowledge where you're winning. Acknowledge where you're taking steps forward and how you actually are taking better care of yourself and meeting your own goals and needs better. And that should be the point of the quarterly quest, should be to make us feel better and actually see and guide our improvement, not to beat ourselves up. So as much as we want to call some attention to our weak points and try to better them and become better ourselves and be self-aware, we also really need to celebrate where we are doing better and make a positive stride, because if we're always focused on negativity and criticism, we're going to project that outwards and do that to the people we love too, just because we do it as a habit, right, to ourselves. So we need to be understanding and loving with ourselves while we are being self-aware and learning to criticize ourselves in a healthy and like smart way, right? So build a system and then figure out your goals, sure, but build a system to actually achieve your goals. Don't just set your vague goals and hope they get well. The system will create structure and detail, which is the key to actually making your life work for you, not against you. And so, yeah, 3 months into doing quarterly quests, 1 quarter into 2025, I gotta say, this is a really great way to pick up the pace and make more intentional progress in your life and make the most out of each day. Yeah, like the quarterly quests have just been additional structure, more progress, and quicker figuring things out. And so yeah, strongly recommend. Big habit that's helping. And as for making your bed, I don't know, do it if you want, I guess. So do yourself a favor. Don't put yourself on the back burner anymore. There's still 3 quarters left of 2025. Ask yourself now, what do you want 2026 to be about? And make those the most out of the 3 quarters you have left. And maybe by the time 2026 gets here, you'll have a portion of the life you really want as opposed to the one you've been handed, right? So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope the sit-down video with less crazy wind blowing is appreciated. I will be returning to the parks, but I'm currently looking at cheap microphones to buy, hoping that'll help with the audio quality in those videos. I also am wanting to work on my, photography of the nature itself and make that better so I can include more of that in my videos and it be more genuinely entertaining. So I'll probably be watching some footage on just people filming good nature and see what I can take away from that and try to implement it into my videos. Between that and a microphone, I'm hoping the park series will really grow up and glow up. And for now, I'm going to continue to also keep doing walking videos and these sedentary commentary videos. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you've been continuing to watch my channel and actually appreciate my content, I appreciate that. And also, let me know if any of these goal systems are working for you. If you have something similar to the quarterly quest that's a little different, that's working real efficiently, let me know down in the comments, and maybe I'll try it out in one of my coming periods, So, yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. I hope 3 months into the year that you're feeling like you're actually moving towards what you want, not so much just like you're being dragged around by life. So get out there, live intentional, and do right by yourself. Have a good day.